So for those of you who are here, I'm gonna get introduced in a couple minutes, but I was just wondering if you guys wanted to introduce yourselves. So yeah, you can't speak, but if you want to use the chat box, just to let me know who I'm presenting to. If you're a member of the Sydenham Field Naturalists, if you're new, I'm new to the Sydenham Field Naturalists, so I'm still learning a lot. And I just want to know if you guys are local to the area or not. So yeah, feel free to introduce yourself during using the chat box.
Just going to let you know, if you can't find your chat box, look under the 3 dots that says more and you'll find a chat box in there.
Shout out to Shelly for being the first brave soul to introduce herself. Welcome, Shelly. We're so glad you're here. I kind of want to type something so that she doesn't feel lonely. Yes, Angela, I recognize your name right away. Come for a run and come into my neighborhood and check out my garden in the spring. Nice. Deb, you've been to our location. I love it. Some new people and some veterans to the Sydenham Field Naturalists. Dawn, I know you. Glad to hear you're doing well. Okay, somebody is zooming in all the way from Arizona. Donna, we're glad that you have joined us. Although you're local-ish. All right, Bev, another Chathamite. Yeah, I'm feeling a little like, I know Walsburg is close by, but I don't really know Walsburg too well. I've spent most of my life on the south side of Chatham. But yeah, Pat, yes. Pat, I'm actually gonna shout out your garden on Homestead Crescent. So that's really cool that you're here. I wonder if Steve signed up, because he kind of really helped inspire this whole thing.
Unless Steve went under a different name, I do not have a Steve on the list.
Okay. He doesn't need to attend this presentation because he was so involved with helping me inspire. Am I allowed to use last names, just like name dropping? Is that fine?
I'm going to leave it to your discretion.
Okay. He won't mind. It's Steve Parr. He kind of manages the pollinator garden over by, close to where Pat is at, Henry Smythe Park. Oh, nice. Thanks, Pat. Yay, Denise. Okay. Yeah. How many people have joined, Sherry, based on the list?
We have 19 people online right now.
Okay, so you want to wait for a few more minutes before we get the ball rolling?
Sure.
Just while we're doing that, I was just going to make a couple of reminders, I guess, really, that on Sunday, the March the 6th, there's a walking tour of the Sycamore Woods. You're asked to pre-register, and you can find this information on the website or on the Facebook page. It starts at 1 p.m. and please register for that. There's a number of people already registered. They just want to make sure that the crowd can be managed and have enough guides there to take people around. May 7th, there is a tour planned at the project site for last year's Friend of Nature Award. It's up just north of Sombra at Jerry and Glenda Young's farm, and it's a really impressive project to come and see, and we are going to take a look at it as a group. That's May the 7th at 1 p.m. There is work underway to put together an actual in-person AGM in April. An annual general meeting. We have not got all the details sorted out yet, so I can't really make an announcement, but watch for it because it's coming, and I think you'll be really impressed with if it works out with what we're hoping to do. And that gets us to the business of tonight's meeting, which is Alexandra Wolting, Dr. Alexandra Wolting. She's a naturopath, and she has a project that she and her neighbors, she organized her neighbors into a group, I guess, and they have created something special on the island on Sherwood Court. So with that said, I'm just going to turn it over to you, Alex, and let you talk to us.
Okay, Daryl, thank you so much. And thank you everyone who participated in the chat already. If you have questions throughout, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm not going to be monitoring it, but there will be time for Q&A at the end. And yeah, let's get started here. So there's a little sneak peek, but you're going to be seeing a lot of progress pictures throughout this. Daryl gave you a brief introduction about who I am. But yeah, he already said it. I am a naturopathic doctor. I work in Chatham. So I am originally from Chatham, Kent, back here in my hometown. And I attended the University of Guelph. I've always had a passion for nature and outdoor activities. You could see that's a picture of me cross-country skiing just on Sunday. A friend took that. I did a little northern getaway. I wanted to attend the University of Guelph because I love nature and plants, and I wanted to do something along the field of environmentalism, conservation, things like that. But while I was studying a general biology degree, I realized that I wanted to help people a little bit more directly. So that led into why not use nature and herbs to help people through naturopathic medicine. That's one of the main reasons that I was like, let's use the herbs that are essentially weeds. Like I've done a lot of field work and things like that. And then learned that a lot of these herbs have medicinal purposes. And I do have actually a focus in my practice now a little bit more into pain management and sports medicine. Just being an athlete myself translates nicely into any athletic type of person who wants to get active or stay moving or any pain presentation. But enough about me and my job, because I'm very passionate about what I do for a living. If you guys want to ask me more about that at the end of the presentation, I would love to, but you guys came to the presentation to hear about the Sherwood Court Butterfly Island. So let's get into that a little bit more. Yeah, so here's a little inspiration. I'm honestly like a little bit sad about winter being over right now because I was hoping to get out and do some more skating or cross-country skiing, but making this presentation and seeing the beautiful colors of spring coming our way is making me a little more excited for warmer weather. And we'll get through this next little period of rain and ice and drizzle. So I hope that this presentation inspires you guys as well. So it's almost been like exactly a year since I got the ball rolling on this project. It was something that had been in the back of my mind for a while, just because as you'll see in a couple of the next slides, just how barren and yeah, I guess I'll go there. A bit of an eyesore, honestly. So these purple sand cherries, they would get pretty big and unruly, and there's fairly tall weeds that were growing in the middle, and no one was maintaining it. So our neighborhood, Sherwood Court, is located between Mud Creek, between the beginning of Mud Creek and Chatham Christian School. We're just off of Tweedsmuir. And it was built very slowly. I want to say like over the course of 20 plus years, honestly, as far as the first houses being there in 2000, late 90s. And then we moved there in 2011. And we've had, there was a number of houses that were built after we moved in. So this traffic island has been here since probably 1998 to 2000. And wasn't really maintained at all. So just dirt, they put down landscape fabric and then put down these rocks. And it's empty space. And Sherwood Court, being named after Sherwood Forest, if you guys are familiar with the legend of Robin Hood, just makes me really a bit sad to be in a neighborhood that doesn't have a lot of trees in it. So background info, I guess, as far as living there since 2011. I do live with my parents, and they are wonderful as far as like having inspired me to like have a passion for nature. So my parents have kind of like we have a lot of plants on our yard. We kind of started with a blank slate, just grass in our backyard, and we have kind of run out of space on our own property. Yeah, we have how many trees? Like quite a few trees. So we needed to expand to the butterfly island, and like that there, the property is theirs. Obviously, I'm not planning on staying with my parents forever, so it was definitely important for me to make this butterfly island a community project. Yes, I instigated it, but it's not mine. Everybody is involved with it. Yeah, so I started off by just approaching the neighbors. I was advised to start small. So I just kind of like threw out like, hey, would you guys be opposed if I planted a few native wildflowers in the area? And I was thinking like I would just start along the center, like where these weeds are. And everyone was like, yeah, it's a bit of an eyesore. Like, let us know what we can do to help. And that was just so awesome for it to become a community project. Like I said, it's not mine. I'm not going to live with my parents forever. So there we go. That's a better example of kind of what it looked like. These roots that are sticking up here, I don't know, some sort of like evergreen, low-lying thing. They always gets covered by snow in the wintertime. So we got the ball rolling. That van you see in the background has a hook on it. We attached a chain to it and pulled things out. Also had some good times trying to dig and hack away at those. And then we started, so our neighborhood has a Facebook group, the Sherwood Court community. So that was a really easy way to contact and just like put a blast out there or put a post out there every time that we wanted to do some work. So it was a big job, as you can see. On May 8th, it was a Saturday, we posted on Facebook Marketplace this photo of the stones. So I don't know what you would call it. Some people were calling them potato stones. It's not quite river rock. But we just posted that photo and said, free stones, message us for exact location, come and get them. So it really became a Chatham, actually we had some people coming from quite a distance, a community-wide project. As far as people showing up and helping us get rid of stones. So lots of people who found our ad on Facebook Marketplace would be like, thank you guys, like this is amazing. I can't wait to like do this landscaping project. You've helped me out so much. And we're like, thank you for helping us with this backbreaking work a little bit. And we also did a little bit of service. You can see our teenage volunteer hours, teenage boys there helping out with the older family. Okay, so now for some more fun parts. Once we got the stones out of the way, we took a couple, so Brian here is one of my neighbors with the black shirt there. He let us use his trailer, and we did a couple loads from various different locations. So connection with Pebbles, as far as Brian's family is related to them. So Pebbles in Chatham. And we also, you know, I need to backtrack a little bit as far as asking permission, all this boring stuff before we get to the fun, hard work. So yeah, asking permission / just kind of telling the city that we were doing this. But of course we wanted to make sure everything was safe. So we did have to contact the municipality of Chatham-Kent and find out how to get the locates as far as making sure we weren't going to dig over the water line or over the hydro line. So once we had that, we mapped out what the garden would look like, and we decided that we weren't going to remove any of the stones from where those lines are, just to make sure that no digging obviously is going to happen ever. That was really cool because then we, as you'll see later, we did keep some of the stones, and I'll get to that in a bit. But I guess this is me just gushing about how much my neighborhood is awesome and how everyone was so great at helping out. This is also May 2021. So we'd had over a year of various lockdowns, right? And people were just like itching to do something together and to make a difference. All right, so incorporating topsoil was a good time. And here's a little bit of progress. So this is what I was talking about with the pathways. You can see the stones remain over the locates in the far end there. And then we've got pathways here because it is quite a sizable traffic island. And we really want to get working on this topsoil and incorporating it. So you can see that we just kind of started raking the stones to the edge, which was also helpful for when random people that heard about us through Facebook Marketplace were like, hey, can I take those really nice clean stones from around your, around the fire hydrant? We're like, no, please take the dirty ones. We did some of this hard work already. And we have borders, so you can see these small logs and big sticks around the edges of the pathways. We kind of did some, like, I don't want to call it dumpster diving, but we did get it from municipal sources. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say about that. All right, so I already talked about the Sherwood Court being named after Sherwood Forest. I just really love trees. And I would have loved to get a huge tree planted here, but for reasons such as this being a fairly hostile environment, being surrounded by a lot of pavement, as well as just the logistics of getting a massive tree, it would have been so cool to get a sycamore. That was my second choice after like a great big oak tree, because there is like the old oak in Sherwood Forest that's significant in the Robin Hood legends. Apparently I learned that sycamore trees are have really strong roots and aren't the best for cities as far as getting into sewer systems, and they're really seeking out water. Feel free to correct me if that's not accurate. But we went with the bur oak instead. So it's going to stay a little bit more, it's not going to like spread out and have as huge of a canopy. And it's also nice because it will still allow a decent amount of light in for the plants that are growing under and around it. So this is cool. This is my dad and his brother and my cousin's kid. So my grandfather, Ralph Wolting was his name, he passed away in October 2020, and he was a tree lover. So trees and nature, definitely a big part of my family. And when he passed away, my parents' friends all got together, and instead of buying us flowers, they decided to give us a gift card to a garden center. So we used that money to put towards this. So this bur oak is kind of planted in memory of my grandpa Ralph Wolting, and it was really cool that even his great granddaughter there helped out with the tree planting. Second tree we got there is a redbud. So our neighbor, Jenny, really wanted to get a redbud tree in her yard because she saw the one in our backyard, and in the springtime, of course, they're just so stunning. Not that you can really see the red buds on this one, but her husband wouldn't let her add any more trees to their yard because they've already got quite a few. Or he said that there wasn't space. Debatable, in my opinion. There's always space for trees. So we decided, so she contributed most of the funds just to buy this redbud tree. And it's closer to her house, so we're kind of asking her to take care of it. You can see that there are different, here's like a good example, just different like quadrants kind of thing. So there's 5 different areas of the garden. So once we planted things, we kind of assigned a different family to do regular watering and regular maintenance of their plot of the garden, just so that it's a bit more easy to maintain, right? Go out, weed once or twice a month kind of thing, staying on top of it. Okay, so getting into later in May and preparing to plant the garden. We posted a big list of plants that we were looking for, and good suggestions based on the map that we kind of loosely made. And then made some labels there. So we also had neighbors who were like, really love what you're doing. I don't know anything about this. I don't have the time or energy to put into it. Let us know what to do. And we were like, you know what? We can do all the purchasing. You guys can just give us cash. So my mom went on the best kind of shopping spree, just used other people's money to buy a lot of different plants. And then we had a number of people bring plants, and then we just kind of kept them in our backyard. So the Wolting family nursery was, I really liked how our backyard looked for the couple days leading up to the planting day. So yes, definitely we have a lot of cultivars, so a little bit less wild type, I guess, based on what people purchased. The President's Choice or the Superstore did this cool native plant, I guess, program this year, which was really exciting to make native plants a little bit more accessible. And then special shout out to Steve Parr and his work with the pollinator gardens, as well as we've got Pat here from the Homestead Crescent Garden. Thank you for the contributions from Homestead. That is actually the project that inspired this whole thing. When I saw what they've done in their traffic circle, Sherwood Courts is twice the size, so I thought let's use this empty space. Okay, so May 21st, Mom and I got up early and placed the plants where we wanted them to be put. And then the neighbors joined us and dug holes and planted and watered. So it was just, again, COVID, lockdowns, people were just itching to do stuff. And this has been like such a blessing in order to and a great way to meet our neighbors as well. So this picture just makes me so happy. Like, look at everybody hard at work and just enjoying making a difference and doing something. as a naturopathic doctor, I am often telling people to spend time outside just because I think that we have a real disconnect with the natural environment. There's actually something called nature deficit disorder. So getting people to interact with the real environment instead of interacting with screens all the time is just something I'm really passionate about and getting my patients to do. And getting people active in this way of all ages, any generation. You can see the range of ages and species that were involved. We even signed off for volunteer hours for our high school students. And we wanted to put some stumps here as a sitting area to make this garden a little bit more of a destination and to make it inviting. Okay. Oops. So the great story about how these stumps came to be. There was a big windstorm or thunderstorm, and there was a tree that fell over at the corner of O'Neill and Park Ave in Chatham, and we drove past it and we were like, oh, look at how nice those stumps are. I wonder if they have any plans. So we turned the car around and got out in the rain and like waved down the arborists and asked if they had any plans for the stumps. And they're like, no, like, where do you live? We'll follow you home. And we were like, they like asked which ones we wanted, and we kind of picked the nicest ones. And they were like, okay, I see you have good taste. And I don't know if you guys are so that familiar with the south end of Chatham, but I'd say that's about a mile. So it was just kind of hilarious to have this great big backhoe following us a mile down the road and depositing stumps for the project exactly where they needed to be. And then, of course, a lot of rain after that storm. Ground was nice and soft for submerging half of the stumps. Whoa, sorry about the slide there. Yeah, so mulch, again, various sources, different connections with local arborists, as well as contact and recommendations from our contacts at the municipality of Chatham County. And we had more than enough mulch. If you can see that picture, the mulch was deposited right on the street on June 1st. So we had a lot of nice, thick, healthy mulch. And honestly, the weed situation, like I know it's really important for maintaining that in the first year, wasn't a big issue whatsoever. I think having thick mulch was key, as well as staying on top of weeds. And again, another series of images that just makes my heart happy to see this progress. One thing that pops out to me is the echinacea, or purple coneflower. Again, as a naturopathic doctor, one of those herbs that has immune supporting properties. And then you also notice the butterfly weed kind of covering up that Butterfly Way signage that we got. How cool is this progress just from these, like, I think 3 little plants? It just goes to show native plants in their native environment do really well. With the different sections of the garden, this section is closest to my house and is the section that we see. So Wolting family is not opposed to having kind of, I guess, a crazier, more native, natural looking garden versus some of the other sections we figured we'll try to maintain a little bit better. But I was like, let's just go for tall plants. And we also figured that this is the end that the snow usually gets piled on. So native plants like the butterfly weed, if it gets covered with snow and ice for half the year, that is quite all right. With us, they're going to bounce right back. I don't know why I put this slide separate, but yeah, I think I wanted to talk about the different sections there as far as different species. So the one section we had a couple neighbors just bring annuals over to our house, and we planted them in the garden. And it was something that just like popped color right away, which was really cool to see that progression, not so much progression, but to see like fruits of our labor right away versus in May, most of the things we planted were green, which is awesome. We love green. But seeing colors that just make us happy. And also we've got marigolds, but also calendula. So that's a medicinal herb and is really awesome for skin healing. I actually grew those from seed, and then I started them in the basement. And so again, that's really cool to see that progress. I think that's something that, again, kids are missing out on a little bit. And I know kids are often fascinated by plants, seeds growing into plants, but I think that's something that all of us should still be fascinated by, just having that sense of wonder and enjoying how nature just can, a few short months, is pretty fantastic. Yes, so as far as the list of species goes, not all of the plants by any means are native. So butterfly bush, for example. We were very intentional with the selection of plants, and all of the non-natives are still pollinator friendly. So that is why native plants are important to begin with, because native insects need to have co-evolved kind of thing with plants that came here naturally. So if you get some cool, beautiful looking plant from a different country, it's not really supporting insects, and it's not supporting the food chain, it's not supporting birds and other wildlife. So you guys are all members of the Sydenham Field Naturalists, probably preaching to the choir here, and you all knew that. But in this case, the non-native plants that we selected are still beneficial to pollinators. Other reasons for non-native, or sorry, other reasons to plant non-native, or sorry, other reasons to plant natives are still strong, because they are going to survive harsh conditions better. For example, lavender is native to the Mediterranean, might not do that well just because it needs a bit more of dry conditions, and falls and springs in Chatham, Kent and Ontario do get pretty wet. Also not sure how the lavender is doing because it is currently covered by some ice and snow. Snowplow drivers actually put the snow piles in a different section this year, but I just took a peek at it tonight, and I'm optimistic that the lavender will come back. Again, something that I'm just kind of biased towards based on medicinal properties. I also did spend a summer working on a lavender field up north of Guelph, or the largest lavender farm in Ontario. So I know a lot of things about lavender, and it just smells so good. And insects love it as well, or pollinators love it as well. The globe thistle, or echinops, I was mistaken on the Relief native garden tour. More on that in just a moment. I definitely thought it was native, so I'm sorry for anybody who I misinformed on that tour, because it was a bit of a show stealer, just because it is a very stunning, beautiful looking plant. But clearly this lovely stripy insect here is having a good time on the echinops, despite it being from a different part of the world. Yeah, so the first annual Relief CK Native Garden Tour was a big success, and it was really fun to share my passion with so many different people. I think my voice was really sore at the end of the day because I got to meet so many of you lovely folks. I don't remember exactly how many people I had, but it was a great turnout, and I was not bored. Plus spending all day outside in the sunshine, wearing lots of sunscreen. It was just such an awesome way to spend the day. In my garden, no, it's not my garden, in the garden, after we had done all that hard work. And then weeks later, it was mid-August, and hadn't spent as much time out there as we had like in May. But it's kind of at its peak as far as those beautiful colors and having birds and butterflies flapping around. Yeah, so that's all I've got. Hopefully I didn't talk too fast. This is like a really, something I'm really passionate about. So if you guys have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. And if you want me to go back on any of those slides, I can absolutely do that. So thank you everyone so much for attending tonight's presentation. This was a lot of fun. And I would love you guys to stick around and just do a little chat session, Q&A kind of thing. Okay, sorry. Did you need the municipality's approval first? Yeah, good question. So yes. So my dad knows Deb Vetcha from the municipality, and he like has a good relationship with her as far as like we've asked for mulch for different projects along Mud Creek as well. And she pointed us in the right direction as far as who to contact for finding the locates. And the municipality was like, as long as you guys maintain it, we don't have to do anything. You can do what you want with the traffic islands. So yeah, good question there. Yeah, approval, permission, we just kind of told them what we were going to do. Mark, thank you so much for your comment there about taking stones from our island. That's so cool to learn that the stones went towards a different butterfly garden. And I love that so much because when we were giving out the stones, I was honestly cringing a little bit just because I don't think that, I guess this is a personal thing, don't want to bash anybody else's like landscaping choices, but I personally don't think they're like a great use because as you can see what happened with our butterfly or our island before it became a butterfly garden was that dirt and stuff just got built up in there and it didn't really keep the weeds back. Plus it's a lot of work to remove. So that's really cool. And Donna has a good note there about the butterfly bush not reseeding and growing in natural areas. So thanks, Donna. Yeah, Sherry had a question, or Sydenham Field Naturalists, about planting more plants in there. Absolutely. If you guys have plants that you want to share with us, I would be happy to add more diversity to the area. Cool, Sherry, Shelley, nice feedback there. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great idea. We actually do have a city councilor who lives on our street and was highly involved with it, which was pretty cool. Shout out again to Pat and her neighbor down the way, Steve Parr, for helping inspire this. So the gardens around Henry Smythe Park and the garden on Homestead Circle or Homestead Crescent inspired this project. I was like, hey, look what we can do with this space. So I really hope that my project, our project on Sherwood Court, inspires some other traffic islands. 2022 is the year of the garden. Thanks for that fun fact, Mark. Let's keep getting gardens going this year. Yeah, Angela's comment about getting the whole neighborhood involved, it was key, right? Yes, people were like Alex's project, but realistically, I think I already mentioned this, like I'm not gonna live in this neighborhood forever. So yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. There are other things that are popping up throughout the municipality. There is a spot over in Prestantia that I know Steve Parr helped out with as far as like providing transplants. He helped provide transplants for this project. So yeah. Have you spent time in the Mud Creek demonstration plot that SFN stewards? Not a lot, but that's kind of my role, and why I became involved with the Sydenham Field Naturalists is because Mike Smith knows that I live near Mud Creek and wanted me to keep an eye on the demonstration plot that's over closer to McGregor High School. So that's kind of my role as a project in as far as projects go within the Sydenham Field Naturalist. Just keep an eye on it and maintain and let people know, or let the Sydenham Field Naturalists know when we need some work on there. So, haha, true garden parties. Yes, yeah, it's so true. There's like neighbors who I haven't really ever talked to that I got to talk to because of this project. So it's super awesome. Did you plant any sunflowers? Yes, there were like dwarf sunflowers that one of the families just donated. But I think that would be a really cool addition. We also I also secured some cup plants thanks to a joint project from Relief CK and the Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority. I helped out with a separate planting project over at Mud Creek, and there were some extras, and I was like, cup plants are so cool. Kind of a native, I guess, like, would they be a Helia something would be the Latin name, same family? I might be wrong. So I'm excited to see those guys continue to grow really tall in coming years. Yeah, Pat, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to the native to non-native species ratio. I want to say it's more natives, but let me just go. Like, yeah, I can't imagine that many of these annuals are native. But here's like a decent picture, July 14th, as far as different species. So we've got black-eyed Susans in the front, echinacea, parsley, cup plant, butterfly weed. We've got bee balm. I'm Liatris. Just kind of another. So yeah, this front garden, I'm going to say, is all native, other than maybe the sunflowers. We've also got some yarrow. Yeah, I guess it's almost like the front half is mostly natives. Yeah, Pat, that's a really good question that if I was more like by the book, or I guess like numbers driven, I should have the answer for you. Yeah, making this presentation was a lot of fun, but I was like, maybe we should have written down this stuff a little bit more specifically as far as like number of people who came to the Relief Garden tour, stuff like that. But yeah, that's a cool idea, Shelley. I like experimentation as well. You might not be surprised to know that I'm not the type of person to follow a recipe either. Experimentation, trial and error, do what feels right. Yeah. So as far as like background information and like learning about what kind of plants to plant, my mom, her name's Cheryl Wolting. and she's done a lot of butterfly gardens in the past with schools. So she used to work at Harwich Raleigh, and she really used some like naturalization projects and got her students involved, and also helped create the Creation Awareness Center at Chatham Christian School when it was first being built. So back in 2000. And she had a lot of like butterfly garden books from the 90s, from the 80s and 90s, based on her education, I guess, formative years as far as learning. So she was a huge resource to guide what kind of plants and how to create a butterfly garden. This was not her first time doing something like this. So I also have learned like a lot from Relief CK on Facebook. It's just really inspiring to know that there's other people out there who care about native plants and who want to take care of the environment and take care of our native plants and insects and species. So. Yeah, I'll just go back through the presentation so we can, I don't know, maybe see a nice photo. Yeah, there we go. Here's a photo of, I guess, quite a few non-natives there with our lavender up front. These are the lavender that are currently covered by snow. And then we've got a dwarf butterfly bush back there.
Well, well, Alex, I find it quite inspiring myself, and for other people as well. I think that you can take a desert area in the middle of your community, involve the neighbors, and when you look at the picture from May and then to August, and the color and everything happening there, it's really remarkable that that you could transform the focal point of your neighborhood that way.
Yeah,
And I'm quite impressed. I want to thank you for doing this presentation for us. I'm sure that the next time many people are in Chatham, if they don't live there, they'll probably look up and take a drive around this summer or spring, perhaps, to see how it's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something we noticed as well, because like this, like you said, this is a focal point in our neighborhood. There would definitely be people who just like drove by just to look at it, which was kind of cool. I don't know, a little extra traffic on our road. Also like a destination for some people like on a bike ride, just an interesting thing to bike by. So
yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I'm so happy to hear that you found this inspiring. And I hope that we can keep spreading this movement, because seeing lots of new neighborhoods being built in Chatham, like, let's make use of our land a little bit better and do something good for nature.
I agree. Thank you, Alex. And I will be taking a drive around your neighborhood sometime in the spring, I'm sure.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what year number 2 looks like now that a lot of these perennials have made more of a root system, and to see what kind of space we have to add more perennials, more annuals. And I am excited for that pop of color to return to Sherwood Court.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for this presentation. And as I said, there is a tour at the Sycamore Woods in Wallaceburg on Sunday. You're asked to pre-register for it on the website or the Facebook page. And there's another one coming. We're going to take a tour of last year's Friend of Nature winners, just north of Sombra. It's a large, like 4 or 5 acre wetland. There's prairie and some woodlot there along Clay Creek, and it's quite nice as well. So there's more news coming, but thank you all for coming in.
Yes, thank you guys for being such a great audience. I mean, I couldn't really see you, but thank you for the kind words of the comments there. I'm just going to drop my contact information if you want to like learn more about the project or about naturopathic medicine or anything like that. So I'll just write down my email address and my Instagram handle as well. So feel free to contact me either of those ways.
Okay, there it is. That's it, everybody.
Thank you so much for attending, everyone. Have an awesome night.